The funeral is about to begin, sir.
Okay.
What did I do wrong?
Welcome back, fuckers. Today we are going to be talking about the awesome movie, one of the first franchises I actually watched, and that's Hellraiser. Hellraiser is an ongoing franchise. I was going to say, yeah, last one was made in 2022, and I think they're working on another one. They're doing a game right now as we speak actually, but I'm going to be looking into that. I'm very excited about that. Maybe we'll do a whole review on this franchise. I don't know for sure, but I guess we'll wait and see. I don't really know what's going to come of these videos. I guess let's just get diving right into it. When I first saw this movie, I didn't really know what to expect. I was expecting Pinhead. I was expecting horror. I didn't really have a sense of horror even at the time. I think I was around 15, 16 when I first watched this franchise, and the horror movies I had seen at the time were Alien. I think I had seen Saw. I hadn't seen any of the Phantasm movies. I hadn't even seen any of the Friday the 13th movies. So I really didn't have a sense of what horror was. I think the most sense of horror I really had was the It movies, the remakes, with Bill Skarsgård and The Conjuring. That was really what I grew up with when it came to horror. I didn't really grow up with like any of the old stuff. This movie I didn't really grow up with either. I want to say I watched it around 15, 16, maybe even 17. I could have watched it around. And I was fucking blown away. I had found like a new thing in horror, which was like gothic romance, like type of horror. I guess this movie isn't really gothic, but it kind of is if you really like dive deep into like the writing and the grand words that they use. Every word that they use to describe something in this movie is really over the top and exaggerated, kind of like a theater or like a gothic play. Kind of, it's not giallo, but it's very similar to giallo in the sense of like the black leather. At the end of the day, this movie is a romance movie. It's a dark romance. I also feel like this movie just has a really good sense of ambiance. I feel like it really sets a tone throughout the character development, It really shows us that side while not feeling like a horror movie. It doesn't really feel like it genuinely feels like a dark romance, It feels like not a Phantom of the Opera kind of thing, but like kinda, it's very interesting. Then when it does show the horror parts, it's the horror parts in the movie are almost like this monster coming together, or I guess you could say it like that, this being, this monster, this person, if you will, coming together, and these really insane special effects. They're disgusting. I don't want to dive too deep into it, but there's a scene with like you guys know what I'm talking about those who have seen the movie of a living creature coming together and morphing into what they need to be morphed into, and that scene alone is fucking crazy. Like They did a lot of good special effects on that movie. I think the score was really good too. Very rarely does an 80s movie have a good score, but this one did it really well. There, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of great 80s scores out there, but when it comes to horror movies, some of them are pretty lacking, like the later Nightmare on Elm Street movies and the later Friday the 13th movies kind of miss those really good scores that the first ones had. I think if you're going into this movie expecting Pinhead, you might be a little surprised because Pinhead isn't really in a lot of this movie. He's the centerfold, I guess you could say, in a sense, but he really just doesn't have a lot of screen time in this movie. If you're going into this expecting Pinhead to be like the main focus and like the he's going to be on screen for the whole thing, he's really not. Like you only see him throughout like maybe I think 5 to 10 minutes of the movie. I think in the second one, I looked it up. I think he gets like 15 or 16 minutes, maybe 11 minutes even. I don't know for sure. I think that might be the first movie. I think he might get 11 minutes in the first movie and 16 minutes in the second movie, if I'm not mistaken. But either or, that's not a lot of time. And if you're going into this expecting Pinhead to be like the main focus, you might be a little shocked and you might be a little surprised. I wasn't that shocked when I first saw this. I was just going into it expecting to see Pinhead. You know, I wasn't really like expecting him to be the center focus. I just knew he was a part of these movies. I thought it was an interesting approach that they took actually when they didn't make him the center focus, and then by the third movie they kind of implement him as like the, all right, he's kind of who we're rooting for now. Kind of like what Jason does in his movies, you know. Uh, I think what I'm about to say is debatable, but in my opinion, I believe this is the better made film out of the franchise because I just watched the remake recently, like I think yesterday. No, I watched it 2 days ago, and that was a really well made film. There are flaws in it that you can look at, but it's a really well made film. And I think you could argue that that is the best made film. And I think you could argue as well that the second movie is the best made film as well. But I would argue and say this one is the best because it does what it does. If you look at the budget, if you look at everything, if you're looking at all that standpoint, it shows you what needs to be shown with how much it has, you know? Like, you really feel like everything you see in this movie is everything that you were supposed to see. You don't feel like anything is really left out, in my opinion. I feel like everything we see in this film is everything that is intended to be seen. And I feel like that speaks for a movie. I feel like a lot of movies, when you walk out of them, feel like that they're missing something, feel like that they're, you know, could have added more, could have added less of something. But when I was done with this movie, I was left happily concluded, and I felt like it was I felt like I was just excited to see the second one, you know. I didn't feel like I needed any scenes from the second one added into this one, or any scenes from the first one added into the second one, or anything like that, or any deleted scenes or anything. I felt like everything we got was really good. I felt like it was all really purposeful. Now, there are some things you can notice because of the budget, especially, I don't want to get too into it, but with the creature's name is, I think his name is the engineer. Uh you can notice some mistakes with that scene. If you look past those filmmaking mistakes though, this is a really good movie. This is, in my opinion, one of the better ones out of the franchise. It's not my favorite, but in my opinion, it is the best made film. I don't think we're quite to where we want to be yet when it comes to the feeling of this movie, but I feel like the second movie perfectly encapsulates what the first one wanted to be. Whether or not it's better, whether or not it's worse, I feel like you could have a good time with all three, the first three of these movies, and walk out and be like, this is a decent franchise, you know? and a lot better than some of the other ones that we've gotten for sure. Friday the 13th. Sorry, I have a cough. That's gonna do it for non-spoilers. I gave this movie a 4.5 out of 5 on my letterbox. I think that this movie really did a great job at showing us what was need to be shown, getting us an idea, and getting us everything that we wanted when it came to a good horror movie, and especially something that was associated with Clive Barker. This film is awesome. I love all the Hellraiser movies. I think that they're all great, and I'm really excited to watch the rest of them. I'm watching all of them with my brother right now. We're on number 7 right now, which I believe is Deader. But yeah, I will hopefully review them on here pretty soon. Now, to get into spoilers, I will say that those things that you can notice, those mistakes that I'm pointing out with the engineer and those people that you can see running behind him, and just like minor little mistakes like that, I really don't look at that stuff and hate on a movie for that, you know? Like, I get it, you know, not everything's going to be perfect and you can't make everything perfect. And I feel like that kind of almost adds to the movie. It kind of adds a sense of charm, like, cuz I didn't notice that when I first saw the movie. Each time watching I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, that's like, I think it was like after the second and third time I watched it, I was like, "Okay, that it's more noticeable the second and third time, you know?" But like, when you're watching the movie for the first time, you don't notice it. It's like a split second scene and it's quick, you know. You're out of it. I look past that stuff, like things in Evil Dead 2 when you can look up in one of the scenes and see that it's obviously a gymnasium that they're in and not like an actual cabin. Like, there's no ceiling on the cabin. They forgot to build a ceiling and you can see through the ceiling, and it's just a very noticeable mistake. But when you watch it in the first time in Evil Dead 2, it's not noticeable. You don't think about it. But to get off of that track, and onto like actual spoilers with the legitimate movie. This movie is fucking gross. I really feel like I need a shower after this movie. Like, and not in the sense of like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre where I feel like when I get done with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I feel like there's like flakes everywhere, like skin flakes everywhere, or like fucking like dust everywhere and grime. With this movie, I feel like it's grease, gooiness, like wetness, blood, and that's that. The I need a shower after fucking watching this movie. Lots of KY jelly was used during this for sure. The designs that they use for Frank when he's coming back to life are fucking crazy, and it is so badass. I really love when a movie can show off its special effects, and this movie does a great job at showing off special effects because it whoever did the special effects really knew what they were doing. I really enjoyed the score in this movie, as I already said, and I think that especially the ending score and the score when Frank is first coming back to life is really adds a sense to the what the movie is about. Like, it has all these different feelings to it, but yet it's just a simple, like, from what I remember, it's a simple violin and maybe like maybe a bass in the background or something like that, maybe like a cello. I don't know, but it's very. I think that part of the movie very much speaks out to like the grandness of what you get during this movie, because it goes from kind of a somber feeling to this big orchestral score at the end of it when you see like Frank's body like kind of like reach up and kind of like scream like ah, like it kind of it really adds a sense to what the movie is about, you know. I feel like that scene really is the movie, you know. Like that scene of Frank coming back to life is Hellraiser. This movie is not my favorite. I think the second one is my favorite. This one is really good. The special effects, you could argue and say that some of them are outdated, with specifically the visual effects, uh, the lasers and stuff like that. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's really, I feel like it's just a piece of the time. You know, I don't hate on a movie for having special VFX that probably looks good at the time. You know, I don't hate on a movie for that. So I mean, I think it kind of, like I said with the engineer earlier, kind of adds to the movie and adds a sense of like charm to it. But I also, I could also see someone hating that. You know, you could argue and say that a lot of this movie is just outdated in general, with the writing and everything, with like the dramatic writing. You know, with like especially the romantic aspect. You could definitely say that it's super outdated. Like the stereotypical like getting married to someone and then finding their brother-in-law who's like a fucking bad person and like very stereotypical like oh I need money, like oh I get by like just fucking doing whatever the fuck I want, like type of person. Like you could say it's very stereotypical, but I feel like it's really just a piece of great storytelling. I feel like it's really just fun. I feel like when Frank makes out with I don't even know her name. I'm trying to think of the stepmom's name. When Frank makes out with her chin, it is so fucking funny. I laugh so fucking hard every single time they go in to kiss and he just grabs a hold of her and just fucking like onto her fucking chin. Like she doesn't even really fucking kiss back. It's kind of just like she's like bracing for it. It's really weird, but I love it. It's Hellraiser. It really is. Like over dramatic sex and stuff like that. That's what Hellraiser is. Like wrapping your legs around someone and just fucking going to town. That's Hellraiser. I don't know why, but it's great. Now closing this all up, I will say I could see how you could think that the new one is your favorite. I could see how you could think that the second one is your favorite. I could see how you could think this one is your favorite. I could even see how you could think the third one is your favorite. Not to say that the third one is bad. I really enjoy the third one a lot, but it's not my favorite. I think it's comparatively to the first and second one not as good. But looking at all these films separately, I think you could take something away from these movies that you could really just enjoy, whether or not you personally tater to something you saw in the movie or you just really like the feeling of the movie, the ambiance or whatever the tone is set, or you really like the story or writing or anything. But each film has something similar to tell, but yet very different as well. The first one really tells this dramatic love story, but the second one really expands that. And the third one kind of takes it into a new territory of like slasherism, where it kind of turns Pinhead into like almost a slasher. And then the series just kind of goes off from there. But the new one kind of does like a remake kind of thing. After rewatching it, I would compare it to the Evil Dead remake. I think it does the Evil Dead remake, but better. Story wise, I think the Evil Dead remake though has a lot better special effects and shows a lot more, and I think that's what we needed in that Hellraiser remake. I felt like there was more that needed to be seen in that Hellraiser remake. But to end this, I'm just gonna say that this one isn't my favorite. I really enjoyed this one a lot, though. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5, and I would definitely recommend you to watch this movie if you haven't. You can find it on Amazon, I'm pretty sure. I think you can find it on Tubi as well. And Tubi, you don't have to sign up for. You can just watch it for free anytime you want. But yeah, go check this movie out. This movie's great. Go check this whole franchise out if you haven't. This is one of the first franchises I watched besides Saw, and the It 2017 and The Conjuring. Those were like the first franchises I saw. But this was like the first OG franchise that I ever saw. So this was a really cool introduction into horror, and I'm really happy to be talking about it on here with you guys. So I hope you all have a great day. Don't murder each other out there, and stay safe.
I can't think of a thing to say. Fuck it.